Yes, ladies and gentlemen, a very warm welcome to Max Hairston. They call you Mad Max, one of the most electrifying young talents in the game. Looking ahead to the NFL draft, man, exciting times for you. How's everything going?
Man, honestly, just still trying to take everything in. Like, kind of been pinching myself every day leading up to this. So I'm just excited to really be down here in Green Bay, and I'm ready for Thursday.
Dude, I saw that clip of you 4.29 at the combine. Tell us about that. That was wild.
So honestly, that was wild, but it was so fun because honestly, I just manifested that time. Like going into training, I told myself that I want to run a 4.28, and to be able to really do that at the combine, in front of all those people, in front of my brothers that I got close with while being at the combine, like that was really like one of the moments I'll never forget in life.
I love that chain of yours. Can you tell us about that and also why they call you Mad Max?
So that chain was actually a reward. I told myself in 2023, my first year starting in the SEC, that if I were to get 5 interceptions, I'd treat myself with a Mad Max chain. And I got five exactly, plus two pick sixes. So I was like, yeah, you deserve it. Go ahead, treat yourself. And then Mad Max, I actually got this nickname from Little League. Growing up, I played with the West Bloomfield Panthers, and I was a lot smaller growing up, but I always had that dog in me. Like, just because I was small doesn't mean you could just run over me or something like that. I held my own. I stood on all 10, and my coach was just like, nah, that's Mad Max. Like, don't mess with him.
You had a breakout season in 2023, 6 interceptions, 3 forced fumbles, even made SEC history with 2 pick sixes in one game. How do you reflect on that performance now that you're headed to the draft?
Honestly, like I just look back at that performance, and I'm thankful for it. That was my redshirt sophomore year, so the year before I was a backup, and just being able to learn from those guys that were playing ahead of me, because they're both NFL guys now, and just taking all the notes and taking the study habits that they had and just applying it to my game in 2023, and was able to go out there and put on a show. Like it was just a blessing for real, and like I'm grateful for that. I always remember the 2023 season. Just hope now I can make break records and all that stuff in the NFL.
So you've had pre-draft visits to the Broncos, the Bills. Like, what's that experience been like?
Man, I've been getting my Delta miles for sure, to say at the least. And I just been having fun though with these visits, like being able to talk to head coaches and GMs one on one, being able to see all these teams' facilities, the differences and like the schemes and just environments. Like it's really been fun. And I got recruited during COVID, so I didn't have official visits. So this is, official visits for the NFL. So I'm enjoying this.
So how important is family to you at this amazing time in your life? You say your mom's been one of your biggest cheerleaders.
Man, honestly, family is everything to me throughout this process and just in life in general. My parents, they invested so much in me growing up with sports and multiple sports, driving me around the country, flying around the country for AU tournaments, for, track tournaments. So, my family, like, they're my support system. And without them, I probably wouldn't even be here right now. I'm just so thankful that I'm allowed to bring them through this process with me.
So let's talk about Kentucky. Big Blue Nation has always been passionate, but not always seen as an NFL pipeline for DBs. Do you think your success has changed that perception?
I do. I think Kentucky should start getting a little more respect in the DB aspect. We send the DB to the draft every year, and I feel like the guys that we do send into the league go in and make an impact immediately. So, you know, Kentucky might be DBU, but hey, you ain't here for me.
You've matched up with some elite talent in the SEC. Who's some of the toughest players you've faced off with, especially in terms of receivers?
Man, so receivers, where do I start? Like, guys like Matthew Golden from this year. Then you got guys like Xavier Leggett from 2023. Lad McConkey was a very good receiver I got to match up against, and also Ricky Pearsall. Just going against an NFL receiver every week is really why I came to the SEC, because I wanted that challenge. I embrace going against the opposite team's best guy, the dude, and I look forward to stuff like that. So that's really why I did come to the SEC.
What was it like having to deal with a tough injury at the end of last season? How do you deal with that kind of adversity? Stay positive.
Honestly, it's tough going through an injury, especially when you have to miss games, but just staying positive, knowing that I can still make an impact with my team, even if I'm not on the field, and just, doing everything in my power to come back and finish the year off with my teammates. So when I actually was able to do that, that was really the highlight of the season for me. Just, fighting through adversity to come back and finish out the year the right way with my brothers.
What are your thoughts on NIL? It seems to be such a game changer for athletes, and how does it impact you and how are you dealing with all that and dealing with the media attention?
Honestly, um, to be honest, I wasn't the biggest fan of NIL. I did enjoy certain, deals. Like, for example, I did a deal where I shot a commercial for the hotel and that allowed my parents to stay there for every game. Like, stuff like that is cool, but I've kind of also seen like the downside of NIL, kind of, guys getting distracted by money or cars and glitz and glamour and, kind of not focusing on the most important thing in football, and that's winning. And but I think once they get some regulations and more control on NIL, it can be a great thing. And I'm glad that college players are able to, get funds and able to kind of get their name out there, the brand out there. And, I'm all for that. But just never forgetting what's the main priority, and that's to win.
Do you think it creates some friction sometimes with some players getting more NIL money? Did you see that at Kentucky? How do you balance it out?
Yeah. So, and this is like multiple schools, not even just Kentucky, just, guys get to talking, whether it's, truth or a lie about how much they're getting or what they're doing. And it kind of does stir up some, some friction, some hostility, but not allowing NIL to control you rather than let it help you.
So as we look ahead, we're looking towards the NFL now. What a time. What's that one thing you want the coaches to know about you that might not show up on a stat sheet?
Just the fact that, I am the ultimate competitor and I would literally give everything I have in my body to go out there and fight and compete every game, every practice, and I'm gonna just leave it on the field every time.
So you have a partnership with Head and Shoulders. That's so exciting. What can you tell us about this partnership and how do you feel about this brand?
I'm so thankful for this partnership, and I'm so excited to get to learn more and more about this brand. They're big on on consistency on and off the field, and that's something that I pride myself on as well. So just being able to partner with these guys is truly an honor. I get guys like Pat Mahomes who's working with them as well, like the official, NFL shampoo, and they're that for a reason.
Wrap up with a little quick fire. So what's the craziest chant you've ever heard in Lexington from the Kentucky fans?
The craziest chant, or
Yeah.
boy, when we play Louisville, just know it gets explicit. I'll just say that.
If you could steal one NFL DB to play next to you in college, who would it be?
Pass Surtain.
Better duo, you and Trevin Wallace at Kentucky or Travis Hunter and Shador Sanders at
Oh,
Colorado?
Maxwell Hairston and Trevin Wallace. It's not even close.
One QB you can't wait to intercept in the NFL.
What QB can I wait to intercept? Pat Mahomes. I'm gonna
Which
intercept him one night
NFL?
and then go do a commercial with him the next day for Head and Shoulders.
Yeah, this is the way. Which NFL team's fan base would hype you up the most? Broncos, Bills, or another team that you visited?
Probably have to say the Lions, just because I'm from there.
Yeah, this is fair. Would you rather play in the Super Bowl or win the Heisman back in college?
I'd rather play in the Super Bowl.
If you could swap lives with any current NFL player for a day, who would it be and why?
That's a good question. Uh, I'd probably be Jalen Ramsey, just so I can relive the Jaguar days.
Pick your coach for one day of DB drills. Deion Sanders, Nick Saban, or Bill Belichick?
I gotta go Deion Sanders.
And what's the first thing you're buying after signing your rookie contract?
A loud and fast car.
And I just wanted to wrap up asking you about the social media game. Like, I love your page. I love those clips of you at the combine. How do you feel about that side of the game and storytelling and sharing parts of your personality with the fans? Like, you seem to have it pretty locked so far.
Man, I love, reflecting and talking about things that I've been through this process because, that might be motivation to a young kid watching, to go and chase his dreams. So being able to, share what I went through and share my opinions on things to people who don't go there in the future that's already been through there, like it's fun to me. Like social media is nice because you get to really get your brand out there.
We're very excited to see where you're going to wind up. What a cool time in your life, and the fans are watching eagerly. So Max, Mad Max, maximum respect, and a massive thank you.